Question number 1. My father-in-law hits on me. I told my husband about it and he did not believe me. My husband tried to ask him about it and he denied it. And now my husband believes him. I have told my friends about it and they advise that I record him. I have thought about recording him, but then I fear I will break the family because my husband looks so much up to his father. What do I do?
Wow. First of all, that's a very tough one. I really empathize with I think both the lady and I'm picturing myself the man in this picture of where someone you look up to is in a situation that you wouldn't believe. But for me, two ways. I don't know if I should answer it in what the lady should do or what the man should do. So if
I think it can be both because they are all in the picture.
Yeah. I think if I was the lady, two things. Number one, the bond between the father and the son like that is first of all, it's very, very, very protective in a sense of the man has already formed a picture of how they view. That's why he didn't believe the lady. He already has this perfect picture of the father. So it's going to extremes where it's something you wouldn't convince him that the father-in-law is doing that. He is capable of doing. So I don't think she can convince him. If I was the lady, it would be protecting my space. How? It is setting up boundaries on my own. Boundaries where, number one, to make sure it will never happen of the father-in-law sleeping with her or whatever the case will be. Then leave room for the truth to finally come out. Because man, there are not enough spades on earth to cover the truth. So for me, the first focus to begin with is to put up boundaries. So whether it's even in extremes of saying you can't be alone in whatever situation with a guy, where you're really that protective. I would even stop the conversation of trying to convince my husband, but sort of like sail it through the storms of making sure that can never happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think now the dilemma is, it has already happened. She has already told the husband, and now they have to deal with the emotions
that have come
from that. And sometimes it's you're lying. So for me, it's that thing of, number one, the man protecting the wife, because while the father has a protector, maybe they have their parents, or they have someone else protecting them. For us as wives, we depend on our husbands to really protect us. So for me, I would actually challenge the man, even beyond assuming that the woman is lying, the man needs to protect the wife. In scenarios where you find that in-laws are against you, the man should be able to protect the wife, because you're my protector. It's divine. It's a given. But also for the lady now, it's that thing of, okay, knowing this thing has happened like this, I can just let it go. And like Lama is saying, you set the boundaries where, for me, like, there are people you stop talking to. You know, like sometimes you send a message to a person and then you discover that they are sharing too much, they are asking too much, or they are saying weird things. You put a boundary. I remember like that used to happen with me, especially where there are maybe people you haven't put a boundary, they send messages, and that's why you find sometimes we have passwords in our phones because we assume, what if he lands on this? So as ladies, we really need to put boundaries. Let her not talk about it. Let her let it go. Let them now deal with those emotions that have been created and find a way of creating peace in our home. Yeah.
Hi, me and my husband were the happiest couple ever until we got a special needs child. The spark got lost and we even failed to talk anymore. Like any other couple, we thought we were going to have a normal child without any special needs. But here we are. It's like we are distant people now. How do people deal with this?
First of all, like you've said, there is no one who will ever have an expectation of having a disabled child or a child who is a special needs child. The irony is when even beyond the issue of the child, whenever problems comes in, for example, like death of a loved one, or maybe a child, there's a way of how sort of like a partner wants to deal with the pain alone.
Yeah.
Okay, whereby someone wants to grieve alone, someone wants to. So I think for me, what's happening, what kills a spark is in not talking about the disappointment, not talking about the pain, not talking about this. So the first step is the realization that still we are in this together. Okay, so and part of doing that is coming to terms with none of us is responsible.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one of those things that you can't explain. Okay, so whereby you get to a place of this has happened, this is our collective issue that we have to deal with. It's none of us, it's not a fault of any of us. So if we are to have a headway, then it has to be us dealing with this together. How that simplifies the work, it doesn't take away the disability, it doesn't take away the pain, but there's a collective effort in the same direction, which then brings in like giving, for example, because it's also very tempting to now make that sort of like, for most times, like the life of the mother.
Yeah.
Whereby everything else is cut off except taking care of this child. But when it's two people now collectively facing this challenge, then you might find even some time is released for the wife to pursue even other things, or even now because they have accepted it to figure out more open solutions, things like you have schools for special needs child, disabled children. It's not a verdict for even for the child.
But I think I also want to say that for every child that comes out of a woman's womb, it's a gift from God.
Yeah.
Now, people might say, you don't know, you don't understand, what are you saying, you haven't experienced it. But we had a chance of having our first two children study from a special needs school. And I remember some people telling us, they will become like those children, they will behave like them. But this is a school with kids with autism, kids with all those other conditions. But the beautiful thing is that every time you watch these kids, there is something special about them that the children we call normal don't actually do. So for me, I would want parents with special needs children to stop focusing on, like, it's that thing of being in the zone where you're feeling sorry for yourself all the time. You hate yourself for having a special needs child. But when you stop, pause and look at that child as a gift from you start seeing all the nice things that these kids are able to do that others don't do. Like, I mean, I can make a list of popular people that are autistic that have made all these many things, incredible things that really we enjoy today. And I mean, when you come to my village in Chirera, in Kashenshero, people will say, Omwana net from Tuma net Guidaro. Why? Because the kid is autistic. So you have to be able to pause as parents and say, what is unique about our child? We have examples that Nick guy who preaches the gospel, he's like one of the best evangelists in this world. He could written off, but he has no limbs. There is that girl who came to she's a model. I don't know if you remember her.
She was from Australia.
Yes, and she's a model and she's a special needs child. So for me, it's that thing of what is different, and that's why they call them they are differently abled. What is different about my child? You get to appreciate what your child has that other people don't have. So the other thing I wanted to really conclude with on this issue of dealing with special needs, the parents have to find support groups. Support groups of people who are dealing with what they are dealing with. And there are so many groups. When you go on Facebook, you find parents with children with autism. Mokisa Foundation is a helpful platform. Dawn Children's Center is a place to visit. So for me, there are so many support groups that parents can join to get encouraged, to get supported, but also to seek help, because you find some have special needs children who need extra care, but they can't afford the fees. So you end up getting special care for your child even when you can't afford it. I know Joy for Children also does the same for special needs, I think.
Hello. Me and my husband went through a rough period in our marriage where we even separated for a while. In this period, he got a child with another woman. He recently reached out and wants us to pick it up from where we left it. I feel the child makes it hard now, and the other woman will always be in the picture. I also feel it would be good for my kids to have both parents together. I'm failing to decide.
Wow, that's another tough one as well, because whenever another child comes into the picture, because you've said it's the man who had the child, so it's now there's another mother in the picture, okay? So there's another mother to deal with. But since these people were married, I think
the covenant still stands.
The covenant still stands, okay? If they are really in holy matrimony, if I can call it that, it still stands. But at the same time, I hate to say that the man is at the mercy of the woman.
Yeah.
Okay? So if the woman is okay with taking back the man, even when the child is in the picture, then it's figuring out the way on how to have this child in the home. Okay? What would then that mean? It would mean convincing the other mother that they can take care of the child. Because in most times what I've found, if the child is left the other side, then
the man keeps going.
The man keeps going back to check, but also it leaves room for second guessing each other.
Yeah.
So if they can work out a way, both in convincing the mother of the child, where she can still have access, but then they get to raise this child together, or in this case have the mother take care of the child, but the man be in a place where he's saying, you know what, this was a mistake, I will take care of the child, but the ties with the other woman are broken, save to what unites us, which is the child. You know, so it's the consensus of what have we agreed upon, and then pursuing that. Child is innocent. Whatever solution is, whatever decision is made, the child has to be taken care of. So the consensus is between the adults. Yeah.
I think also, and that is good. I think also love always wins.
Yeah.
If I really love you, because love forgives. Love will not take stock of the past. You actually say, okay, we are willing to open a new page. This and this has happened. I believe it won't happen again. So you commit to each other. If it's possible, actually, you would go back and renew your vows in church. So saying, you know what? We commit that this will never happen again. So that calls for that soul searching at an individual level, where you now say, this won't happen again. You commit to each other, but also you put in efforts to make sure now you work towards bringing back the love that you had at the beginning. Because there is no one who gets married to people they don't love. We only do things that annoy our spouses, and then it turns out like we no longer love them. But the love is there. The love is there. So I believe forgiveness is key, and I believe love still exists by the time they even think about getting back together. So let them forgive each other, let them get back to the drawing board, recommit, and forget about the past.